Have you ever looked at someone and just thought, how do they do it? How do they seem to achieve their goals so easily while so many of us struggle? Well, the secret isn't some big, grand gesture. It's actually about tiny, almost invisible changes. And today, we're going to break down the core principles from James Clear's powerhouse book, Atomic Habits, to show you exactly how those small habits can lead to absolutely monumental results.
I mean, we've all been there, right? You get super fired up about a New Year's resolution, you start out strong, but then a few weeks in, that motivation just fizzles out, and you're right back where you started. It's this universal frustration that Atomic Habits really gets to the heart of. So why is lasting change so dang difficult? Well, according to James Clear, it's because we're focusing on completely the wrong thing. We're all chasing these huge, dramatic, once-in-a-lifetime transformations, but real success? That's the product of our small, daily habits. You know, it's not about some big revolution. It's about a consistent, quiet evolution.
And that brings us to the first and maybe most important idea in the whole book, the 1% better rule. It's all about the surprising power of these tiny little games. I know, getting just 1% better every day, it doesn't sound like a lot, does it? But trust me, the way these tiny improvements compound over time, well, that's where the real magic happens.
Okay, think of it like this. Habits are basically the compound interest of self-improvement. Yeah, just like money in a savings account. The effects of your habits, they just multiply the more you repeat them. But, and this is super important to remember, this compounding thing works both ways. Small good habits can build you up, for sure, but the small bad habits, they can quietly eat away at your progress just as fast. And when you look at the actual math behind this 1% rule, it is staggering. I mean, really. If you improve by just 1% every single day for a year, you're not going to be 365% better. No, you'll be nearly 38 times better. That's not just steady growth, that is a full-blown exponential curve in action. It's wild.
But let's look at the flip side. What happens if you get 1% worse each day? You don't just slip back a little bit. That compounding effect kicks in, but in reverse, and your progress basically craters, all the way down to almost zero. It just goes to show you how high the stakes really are when it comes to those little, seemingly insignificant daily choices. So you see, the real question isn't about where you are right now, today. It's about the trajectory. It's about where your habits are taking you. Are they putting you on that path to becoming 38 times better, or are they on that slow slide down towards zero? Okay, so we get it. Small habits are powerful. That's the what. But the big question is the how. How do we actually build them? Well, luckily for us, James Clear gives us a really simple, super practical framework for this. He calls it the 4 laws of change. So first things first, you got to understand something called the habit loop. It turns out every single one of our habits, the good ones and the bad ones, follows these 4 basic steps in our brain. There's a cue, which triggers a craving. That craving motivates a response, which then gives us a satisfying reward. And the 4 laws, they're basically designed to let us hack this exact loop.
And here they are. This is basically your toolkit for change. If you want to create a good habit, you just have to make the cue obvious, the craving attractive, the response easy, and the reward satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make it invisible, unattractive, difficult, and unsatisfying. It's such a simple system, but it's an incredibly effective way to start engineering your own behavior.
And honestly, this next quote is one of the most powerful ideas in the entire book. Listen to this. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. Think about that. If you're struggling to change, the problem isn't you, it's your system. I mean, winners and losers, they often have the exact same goals, right? The real difference is the system, that collection of daily habits that actually leads to progress. All right, so now we're going to go a little deeper. We're getting to the real secret sauce here, the thing that makes new habits actually stick for good. And it's all about shifting your focus away from what you want to achieve and onto who you wish to become. So Clear breaks down behavior change into these 3 layers. Most of us, we start on the outside. We focus on the outcomes, losing weight, writing a book. But true, lasting change, that has to start from the inside out. It starts at the deepest layer, your identity, what you actually believe about yourself. And here's how that looks in the real world, what the actual difference is. An outcome-based habit is saying, my goal is to run a marathon. But an identity-based habit, that's saying, my goal is to become a runner. See the difference?
The first one is a temporary finish line. The second is a permanent shift in who you are. And that creates a motivation that comes from within and actually lasts.
So what this really means is that every single action you take is a vote for the kind of person you want to become. That's so powerful. So when you read just one page or you just put on your running shoes, it's not just about that one action. It's a small piece of evidence. It's a vote you're casting. You are literally building up proof of your new identity, one tiny action at a time.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory, right? But how do you actually cast that very first vote? How do you start? Let's get super practical. I'm going to give you 2 simple tools you can use to start building that new identity, like today.
First up is the 2-minute rule, and this thing is brilliant. The whole idea here is just to make it so easy to start that you can't say no. You scale down any new habit you want to build so that it takes less than 2 minutes to do. See, the goal isn't to get amazing results right away. The goal is just to master the art of showing up.
Right, a new habit should not feel like a challenge. It should feel ridiculously easy. So run 3 miles becomes tie my running shoes. That's it. Do 30 minutes of yoga becomes roll out my yoga mat. You're building what he calls a gateway habit, something super small that naturally leads to bigger things down the road.
Okay, the next tool is called habit stacking. This is another really clever way to make your new habit obvious. You just link your new habit to something you already do automatically every day. The formula couldn't be simpler. After I do my current habit, I will do my new habit.
So for example, after I pour my morning coffee, I will meditate for 1 minute. It works because your brain already has this super strong pathway for making coffee, right? You don't even think about it. So by attaching your new, tiny habit right onto that existing one, you're basically hijacking that momentum. It makes the new behavior feel almost automatic.
So in the end, it all comes down to this. The real core message of Atomic Habits is that you, yes, you, have the power to completely reshape who you are just through your small daily actions. It's not about one big dramatic moment. It's about thousands and thousands of tiny little votes. So the only real question left is, what are you going to vote for today?